Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lids, and we're back for some more Gwent, and today we're playing the new Irresistible Attraction seasonal event, which is an alternate game mode in which every time we play a non-spying unit, if there is another unit on our opponent's side of the board with the same amount of power, we will steal that unit. That means this event is all about stealing as many of your opponent's cards as possible, and that's exactly what this deck is designed to do. So let's go give it a look. So today we'll be playing a Nilfgaard Imposter deck that is the meta deck for this event, because the most effective strategy is to have as many units as possible that match the power of your opponent's unit so that every turn you're stealing at least one, if not two, of your opponent's units, maximizing the additional value that you get from this alternate rule set. That's why we have a ton of cards that can play more than one unit per turn. Terranova, Dandelion, Braathens, Gascon, Ramon, and so these are the centerpieces of the deck, although we'd like to save them until at least mid or late round when our opponent has a lot of units on the board, and therefore we can make sure that we're actually stealing 2 units every time we play one of these cards. Ivar is also useful for stealing if your opponent has 2 units that are both highly boosted and on the same amount of power. You target one of them with Ivar steals that one's power and lowers it down to a 4, so one of their strong units gets weakened, and then the other one matches the amount of power that Ivar has, so you steal it. Bribery is another way of potentially stealing one of your opponent's cards, as is Dudu. Fercart is another way to get multiple units on the board in one turn. And Rico will match the power of whatever unit your opponent played most recently, making for an easy steal there. Just try to save him for when your opponent plays a big point slam, ideally. Experimental Remedy, very useful for round 2 or round 3 in particular, when your opponent likely has bronze units in their graveyard that you can steal, and then, assuming they play one of those, or at least play a card that has the same amount of power as one of those in round 2 or round 3, you can steal it that way. Nilfgaardian Knight is one of our best tall stealers because either, if your opponent has a 6 power card, you boost it with Nilfgaardian Knight's deploy ability, it becomes an 8, and Nilfgaardian Knight steals it, giving you a huge point swing, or your opponent already has an 8 power unit on the board, you play Nilfgaardian Knight, just don't boost that 8 power unit on your opponent's side, and you'll steal the 8 power unit, and sure, you're giving your opponent a little more points than one of their other units, but the trade is more than worth it. Duchess's Informant, great for whenever your opponent plays a bronze card, you can steal it immediately, almost every time. Then Imperial Diplomacy is mostly a way to set up Fercart if needed, and in case for whatever reason you can't actually match the power of one of your opponent's cards, there's a chance this might give you the answer you're looking for. Ard Feainn Tortoise for a point slam, either if your opponent has a tall unit or if you're leading off the round and therefore you don't have anything to steal, it's a little bit harder for them to steal on their first turn. Ducal Guard, probably don't play it, it's mostly just here in case you really need a soldier to set up Ramon. Thanedd Turncoat to give us some spine to help set up Terranova. Nauzicaa Brigade, another card mostly here to set up Ramon, although if your opponent has either a 3 power card, you can damage something other than that 3 power card and seal it with the Nauzicaa Brigade, or if your opponent has a 6 power card, you can target that with the Brigade and seal it that way, giving you a little more flexibility, especially when your opponent plays some smaller cards, which can be a little bit tougher for us to steal. And then Emissary is basically just a backup plan for Braathens in case you are, for whatever reason, forced into playing Braathens when your opponent doesn't have any bronze units on the board, so you just turn Braathens into a boost generator with Emissary, but you probably don't ever want to have this directly in your hand. So there's a look at the deck, and like I said, it is all about maximizing the number of times you steal your opponent's units, because that is the key to success in this seasonal event. So let's go see it in action. Alright, so going up against Scoia'tael here, and they'll go first. And let's take a look here. So we have Braathens, always a good choice, along with Gascon, both of which can give us 2 cards stolen per turn. Fercart, as long as we have some special cards, and we do, can give us some setup for Terranova if we can get him later on. Do we have... Don't have Ramon. We do have some soldiers if we were to draw into Ramon, so maybe we try dumping the Nauzicaa Brigade, and we can still hold on to that Nilfgaardian Knight for that purpose. And there is Ramon, right on cue. Okay, so in that case, we do some spying to set up Terranova, so maybe we don't need the Turncoat. And Dandelion is another great way to steal multiple cards per turn, so great hand here. Olgierd, a little tough to steal at 8 power, unless, of course, we were to, say, have something like Rico in our hand, which you do generally want to save when your opponent does some big point slams, but, I mean, this could be one of them. We could, however, since this is 8 power, wait until they play their next unit and use the Nilfgaardian Knight, boost whatever the next unit they play is, and we won't steal that second unit. We'll end up playing an 8, stealing this 8. Otherwise, you'd use Nilfgaardian Knight to steal a 6, and you just boost your targeted 6 power unit, turn it into an 8, so you swap, or you steal that. Always chance Bribery turns into an 8. Let's take a look at Royal Decree. Is there anything we could use there that could be meaningful? I don't really think so. So maybe we keep it simple here. We'll go Rico, and if they somehow have a way to steal one of these back, then we have potentially a means to get it back on our side with the Nilfgaardian Knight. Okay, Oniro, if they have a way to make that happen, this will be it. Oh, yeah, they do with Saskia. Okay, so we can steal Saskia. They're going to keep whatever it is they're stealing here, though, at least in the short term. So what we do is we go Nilfgaardian Knight. We're going to boost Rico. It'll get Rico up to a 10, which is going to be hard to steal back, but we will take Saskia, or rather, Synthesis, because 8 and 8. Okay, now they're using their leader ability to try to get this into stealing range, I imagine. But that might make it easier for us to steal it back. So they're going to be at 6 here, and then they're going to heal to get up to 8. Okay, so they have several cards at 8 power, which means we do stand a chance of making Bribery turn into a steal. I mean, having both a 6 and an 8 on the board definitely makes that more feasible. The 10 from Rico is going to be tough, for sure. Our other cards that can play multiple units per turn, well, I mean, tell you the truth, when they had the 2 10s, actually, Ivar might have even been the best option for us, because that is the perfect setup for him, especially for high-value cards like those were. I didn't even consider Ivar, but that's what he's there for. Fercart into Bribery, I think. Ideally, we'd have something else to go with. Yeah, let's actually wait for Fercart. We'll see if we get an 8 here. We can go Dudu. And with Dudu, we can do this. Steal you. That's what Dudu's there for. Well, actually, I mean, we have Dudu in our deck, but I guess they do as well. Okay, and now this time, leader ability again, but usually with Precision Strike, which is a great leader ability in this event, you want to set up for that steal more effectively, which, okay, we did for Olgierd, I see. Alright, however, we could actually use Braathens. We have several options here, in fact. Braathens into Duchess's Informant to create Caravan Vanguard in the melee row where it gets boosted by 6. We can steal any of their 6s. We can go Ivar Evil-Eye. Same reason that we theoretically could have used it before when there were a couple of 10s. You switch power with one of the 6s, turns Ivar into a 6, and you steal one of the other 6s in the process as well. I think Ivar, although it's not as good as the 10 play would have been previously, what if we go here? I was hoping we get Olgierd and then we could heal Olgierd. Oh, no, but his order is on cooldown. Ivar, although the 10 power switch with him would have actually been the best play for us, or a better time to use him. He's a little harder to set up than Braathens because once you hit Adrenaline 2, he becomes significantly weaker, whereas Braathens, as long as your opponent has a bronze unit on the board, almost always works. Okay, Riot Officer. Not going to steal anything. They will heal Olgierd back up. So, options here would be Fercart into Royal Decree, or technically, Dandelion Poet, steal you. Fercart, being the second card, steal you or you. Royal Decree, try to steal something else. That's probably overkill, because we do still have the lead here. So let's not go too overboard just yet. I mean, all the cards we have remaining here are all very good. But maybe... if we were to have played Fercart, we might have liked to have done that a little bit earlier. So we can still get... I mean, well, what would we even do with Royal Decree? They have a 7, maybe? Yeah. I think we just go... Gascon. Steal a 4. And then... they only had 1 4, didn't they? So this, I don't really think it's going to do much. Sure, we'll put on Ramon. So yeah, what you're looking for with Gascon is steal with his 4 power body and then find a bandit that can also steal something, but they only had one 4 power unit for us to steal, which we got with Gascon, and nothing in particular we could do to set up the Iron Falcon Troubadour to steal something. And they're going to reset, what, maybe... Oh, Caravan Vanguard, sure. We are still in the lead. and they have played one more card than us. So usually that would mean we ought to pass here. And I think we probably will do that. I mean, we could, I'm sure, still steal some stuff if we really wanted to. We could use Braathens now to create a copy of this Nilfgaardian Knight, which would be an 8. Boost anything other than Olgierd, and then that would mean they have an 8-power body, so the Nilfgaardian Knight would steal Olgierd. Braathens would steal... wouldn't steal anything, but we're still stealing an 8, which is pretty solid value, but not necessary here, because we are still holding on to the lead. So they'll either need to give us the round 1 win on card advantage, which is not a great idea, or they'll go 2 cards down to win round 1, which is also not great for them, so we'll take that exchange. Okay, so draw into Roderick. We're going to want to double-check what gold that might turn into, because we have already seen a lot of golds in our hand. Duchess's Informant, awesome for sealing bronzes. Ard Feainn Tortoise, usable, especially with Ramon. In fact, we don't have any other soldiers in our hand right now, so yes, we definitely need to keep this here. So what would Roderick mean for us? Dudu, Terranova, who we've not yet set up. One of those two. So we have a pretty good set. In fact, we have 2 choices, so it's going to be one of those, and we can choose which one. So yeah, we're going to want to go Fercart in order to make sure that Terranova is usable here, but otherwise, this does look good. Just need to be mindful of our order of operations here, and we do have a throwaway that we're going to want to use, and that's probably going to... probably is going to be the Ard Feainn Tortoise, which means we are going to very much be looking to draw into a different soldier, of which we don't have too many in our decks. I just want to be a little mindful that we've 1, 2, 3 remaining. So not guaranteed that we get that to work. Okay, we might have needed to have been a little mindful of the fact that they were likely to dry pass there. I kind of did not make a point of doing that. But I think it is still... Ard Feainn Tortoise is certainly the weakest card we have. It's just that we were kind of looking for that to go with Ramon. Okay, so we have an experimental remedy, which we can use to play Caravan Vanguard, Riot Officer, Nilfgaardian Knight, all of which could be useful to set up some steals. We did draw into a soldier. Ducal Guard, probably our worst soldier when it comes to stealing stuff. I mean, if they have a bunch of 4-power units, it could work, but the Thanedd Turncoat is mostly here to give us one other way to set up Terranova, but because we have Fercart, which can give spying, it gives us another way to do that, but it's probably not totally necessary. I think I prefer Nauzicaa Brigade to the Ducal Guard. Okay, and we get more soldiers here, so totally fine from a soldier setup standpoint. And going first in a round, in general, is not great, because we want to be sealing our opponent's units, and when our opponent doesn't have any units on the board, that is much harder for us to do. What we could do is one of 2 things. We can go with Braathens, and we deliberately put an Emissary in our deck for really this specific purpose, so that if our opponent doesn't have a unit for us to create a copy of using Duchess's Informant, we can just go with an Emissary and make Braathens big enough that he's going to be hard to remove. Alternatively, we could also go with the experimental remedy into an 8-point Nilfgaardian Knight. It won't have anything to boost, so it's just pure 8 points. That's also pretty tall and fairly difficult for them to steal. I think we might go for that. Could do either. But I think Braathens might be a little more valuable. Okay. Catwitcher Mentor at 1 is actually very difficult to steal. Although we technically could with Duchess's Informants. Because the toughest things for us to steal are cards that start off with a certain amount of power, and then either on deploy gain a specific amount, or automatically get boosted at the end of their turn, and then we can't just create a copy of it and use Duchess's Informant or Braathens to steal it, which will eventually be the case once this gets to Adrenaline 4, but since it has not yet done so, we just need to be mindful of want to play our Catwitcher Mentor in this row, so it doesn't get boosted, and prevent ourselves from stealing that. I think that is the play here. In fact, hold on. Technically, melee row might be slightly better here as well. There we go. Because otherwise, 1-power units are extremely difficult to steal. And you might normally say, well, Lids, why bother? Duchess's Informant was valuable. We could have just destroyed that card, true. Okay, I mean, now, this is exactly the situation I was describing before, where, because no matter where we create a copy of the Catwitcher, we would have to boost it by 1. We can't steal these anymore. So yeah, we're probably looking to destroy it with Nauzicaa Brigade. Unless... No, even Dudu would get boosted by 1. Steal the Duchess's Informant. No. So... I think we're just playing one of our soldiers here, and we'll save another soldier for Ramon. Let's destroy one of these guys. I think that's the right move. No stealing. They're deliberately going low, which is actually what you would normally do with a Precision Strike deck for Scoia'tael, is try to go below 4 power. In particular, can be hard for us to steal. But I'm hoping that we've weathered the storm a bit here. And we've also put some cards on the board that are going to be a little bit tougher for them to steal. But what do they get with Oniro? Okay, that is a 3. So we'll steal our Nauzicaa Brigade. And this is technically an engine, the Trained Hawk. And they're trying to get this Nilfgaardian Knight down to a power level that they can actually more feasibly steal. But what we can do now is, now that they have 3 power units on the board, we can play Fercart, that'll steal one of them. Then we can use him to play Royal Decree. Do we have a 3 we can get out with Royal Decree? No, not really. I mean, well, we could Duchess's Informant to create a copy of any of these. I think that's probably the play. Yeah, let's do that. Fercart, Royal Decree will give someone spying, which sets up Terranova, or at least will, theoretically. What were we saying? Duchess's... what? We don't have it? Oh, we drew into the Duchess's Informant. No, that's what we were going for. No! In that case, I mean, we could Dudu. It's not really what I had anticipated, but we can do that to steal you. So, okay, that works too, I suppose. Not exactly the way I had intended for that to play out, but we'll make it work, and we put the spying on the Catwitcher Mentor. Okay, they're gonna lock Trained Hawk, and in doing so, they're gonna steal this Nilfgaardian Knight, which we can steal back with Duchess's Informant, and I will show you how. By taking this, choosing this, and using it to boost one of their 6s. Take your pick. Which one do we want to create a copy of? Why don't we... Let's steal Gorigari. Because having another Nilfgaardian Knight on their side of the board gives us another potential target for Braathens. Okay. Gascon is a 4. Okay, 2 4s. Perfect. We will steal both of these cards. Okay, they're just trying to get him into removal range, or rather, stealing range. So we can go Ramon to steal one of them, and then we get the Ard Feainn Tortoise on the board, which, as of right now, does not steal anything, so that might not be the right move for us. Go Braathens into Highwaymen, and steal both Gascon and the Highwaymen in that way. Could go Dandelion into any of our 4s, or whatever we happen to draw into, and see if we happen to get something else that's capable of stealing. That's enough out of you. I think we probably just go Braathens here. He is really valuable, especially when there's one of these Nilfgaardian Knights on the board. Tell you what, yeah, actually, forget about you. We're going to use the Nilfgaardian Knight to steal the Nilfgaardian Knight this time around. Like so. That's a better steal. Why steal a 4-power unit when you can steal an 8-power unit, right? Okay, Aguara is a 7, but that's fine. We anticipated that they were going to try to steal a 7. And so this is where we go Ramon to steal you, into Ard Feainn Tortoise to steal one of you guys, and then we can follow up with an original Ard Feainn Tortoise to steal the other. There we go. And we are close to running out of board space here, because of how much stealing has gone on. Rune Mage is not a bad option. Steals a 4, and then has certainly the potential to steal another card here as well. With 4 power on the Elven Scribe, yep, they will. But as we were saying, we were running a bit out of space here. And so now I think it's probably a good time for us to use the Ard Feainn Tortoise, because they have a bunch of 7s. We'd probably like to get a Catwitcher Mentor, to be honest with you. Is it worth it to go Dandelion into Ard Feainn Tortoise? I think we saved Dandelion for near the end because we are now, I think we have precisely 1 gold card in our deck, and it's Terranova. Just thinking we'd finish with that, or be, you know, it might be our second to last card, but we don't want to accidentally draw into Dandelion, or use Dandelion and accidentally draw into Terranova and suddenly have nothing to do with Roderick, which is what almost happened to us when we used Fercart and drew into our Duchess's Informant and nearly bricked, but they don't think they can catch us, so they'll forfeit. Alright, so going up against Nilfgaard here, and they'll go first. Okay, and first of all, they are Enslave 4. Okay, so it's not a huge factor, but taking a look at what we have in hand, we do have Terranova, so that means we want to make sure we have a way of giving them spying, which as things currently stand, we don't have a reliable way of doing. So that's a bit of a red flag for us. Let's dump the Emissary. Duchess's Informant, I mean, is great, but we might be looking for perhaps something better than Imperial Diplomacy. And Experimental Remedy is great, but less so in round 1 when they might not have anything in their graveyard. Well, swap out an Imperial Diplomacy for a different Imperial Diplomacy. So that means we're definitely just waiting for Terranova until, ideally, round 3. I mean, usually it's the very last card you want to play, so I suppose that doesn't change too much. Fire Scorpion initially should be quite stealable in perhaps more ways than one. Rather not use Rico to make that happen. Ivar is not all that useful. He's not switching power with a 4, really, so that's missed value there. Might try Imperial Diplomacy and see if we can get a 4. I mean, it's the most common base power of all cards, so there's a decent chance we'll make that happen. Could go Duchess's Informants or Braathens. It's definitely overkill. So let's try this. See what we get. Okay, we'll go Master of Disguise just for the steal. Obviously, we don't have anything that is locked on our opponent's side of the board. Not to mention, we are about to steal the 1 card that is on the opponent's side of the board. Oh, Sunset Wanderers it looked like there. Okay, Fang is the Empire for the poison. That's kind of interesting. We can steal both these guys if we did Braathens into either one of them. Braathens would steal one. The Fire Scorpion Say would steal the other. So that's an option. Duchess's Informant could steal one, of course, but I think we might be looking at Braathens here. And I guess we are about to poison this Duchess's Informants. I was hoping to create an additional Fire Scorpion, but you know, that was the initial steal, so we didn't have that option. Okay, so with Curse Scroll, they're probably looking to find something to steal one of our cards here. Braathens is stealable, or they're just going to poison and remove. Okay. Game 4. So, if anything in their graveyard, no, but we do now. They might have been, I mean, it is a way to set up Experimental Remedy if they really wanted to. But it might be Duchess's Informant's time. Because anything else, I mean, at 4 power, it's just such an easy number to steal, and it feels like we're wasting Ivar. Yeah, we should probably go this route. And if anything, I mean, this Fire Scorpion has got to be getting a bazillion charges right now. I'd rather have those than the poison, I think, but we'll have to see. Siri. Okay. I mean, we could steal Siri. That would be quite nice. Quite nice indeed. If you ask me, we could use our leader ability to lock and create a copy of her, but I think we might want to wait and see, first and foremost, if we have a way to steal her before we resort to doing that. Because if we go Justice's Informant and create a copy of any of the Fangs of the Empire, we have a chance of stealing her. Same with Rico. Ivar, I mean, still not great value, but it's potentially to steal a better unit, which is saying a little more than we were saying before, but let's go this route. Let's... Yes, we'll poison one of you. We'll steal the one that we poisoned. Lovely. And now... Is there anything we want to set up onto 3 or lower? Not really. So we'll just do that, because 4 power is still easier for us to steal. Now they're gonna coup. Oh, okay, I mean, sure. We are still winning, but there is still that risk, of course, that they'll walk out of this round with Ciri. So, I mean, Ivar is capable of stealing a 4. Honestly, I'm just surprised by how many 4s they're trying to play here, which normally is in fact, the easiest way for us to steal, but that'd be with Dandelion, Gascon, and Ramon. If we had any of those, we would be stealing 2 cards per turn easily, but less so the case now. Oh. Okay, well, tell you what, we can do this, and this, we actually should have, this was an occasion where it would have made sense to poke Thanks the Empire first, bump it down to a 3 to just increase the likelihood that when we played a 4, we were going to steal the 4 that we actually wanted to take. Gwen steals nothing, but it will get them into Vesemir Mentor, which will steal something. Actually, no, not post-boost. Getting Ciri up to a 5, making her a little tougher to steal, or so they thought. We can actually guarantee that we steal her here. Rico is a 50-50 chance between these two, but if we use Ivar, it's not exactly the most dramatic of power switching, but it does guarantee that we get Ciri. If we play him, switch power with Vesemir, make Vesemir a 4, Ivar a 5, means the only 5 on their side of the board is Ciri, so we guarantee that we steal Ciri. We also have the Fire Scorpions to help set things up again if we would like to, but we don't need to on this occasion, at least not for this purpose. So we steal you, and then at this point, I mean, I think we're just pretty much looking for the damage. So we'll do that. For what it's worth, it is a tiny little bug, but whenever you play a special card, you can steal... Oh, clever. Except the boost means you won't actually steal anything. There's Sunset Wanderers, though. It's just enough for them to pass us, theoretically. Oh, no, it's not. Oh, that number was already post Sunset Wanderers. So they have played one more card than us. They have not passed us. And if they do try to pass us, we'll get Ciri back into our hand. They could potentially do a move to steal one of our cards and maybe get Ciri back, but even if they do go that route, that still means that they're going to be 2 cards down. So we are definitely passing here. Oh, but what I was saying before is if your opponent has a 1 power unit and you use a special card, it is a small bug, but you will steal a random 1 power unit when you do that, which I think we saw on one occasion is why we got this Duchess's Informant. They are going to play... Okay, I mean, if you insist. Not only are you 2 cards down, we're about to get Ciri back into our hand, which means you will be 3 cards down. Okay, so huge card advantage for us here. We caught them in quite a pickle, and in large part because we did a good job of stealing Ciri. Probably don't want her anymore, unless, I mean, we could use her as a throwaway card here, because they presumably are not about to play in round 2. But we can probably do better than this. Ducal Guard is not amazing. Do we have Ramon in hand? No, and even if we did, we still have another soldier we can use with him. So our throwaway here, assuming they do dry pass, may be the Turncoat. Especially because we have 2 of them. Yeah. So this can be set up for Terranova to give you a way to deal spying, but between the other Turncoat and Fercart, which is a random source of spying, we definitely can at least set up Terranova to a certain extent. So let's throw you away here. And that means we will still have double last, or rather, 2-card advantage going into round 3. Okay, so Dandelion is good for 2 steals per turn. We drew into Gascon on the previous round, which I didn't even mention, but he's also good for potentially 2 steals per turn. Ard Feainn Tortoise, potentially good for stealing tall units, and is another soldier, which with Royal Decree means we could potentially get Ramon, set that up, or Dudu, or Bribery. 2 still have some solid cards in our deck. Since we have 2 soldiers in hand, I think we can swap out the Tortoise. I think we can either swap out the Tortoise or the Turncoat because we already have at least some setup for Terranova. Okay, Ciri is not as good as the Tortoise, so didn't luck out there. But in terms of how we'd like to start things off for this round, one decent way is by using the Nilfgaardian Knight because it's a tall unit. so that means it's relatively hard to steal, and if our opponent, say, wants to do something like, well, I was going to say, if they play their own Nilfgaardian Knight, they're going to have to boost ours, and so it won't match up power. If they use a Duchess's Informant, then they can boost the Duchess's Informant up to a 3. They'll still be able to steal the Nilfgaardian Knight that way, but do we have a way to work around that with Rico? We do. So yeah, I think this is still the right play here. Okay, Viper Butcher Alchemist, which may, or very much may not, mean they're going to steal something here. So that's definitely not what they were looking for. And at 4 power, it might be an opportunity for us to, I mean, we have lots of ways we can steal it, right? But I'm eyeing the Thanedd Turncoat, not because this is a great target to give spying to. It's not really the case. More so just that this is less important of a setup card and one that we actually can guarantee a steal with at the moment, when our other cards are more designed specifically for that purpose and are more natural stealers. So, or you'd ideally like to wait and use them in a higher return case. I think we just do this. It's not a terrible card to get the spying on to set up with Terranova. It is a wild card for sure, but it's something. And we still have the way to get additional sources of spying from Fercart, and so that may give us some more options for Terranova. The Illusionist is a 4, so that's definitely stealable. As is this Viper Witcher Alchemist. So this could be a good time to go with Gascon, which is a 4, so he'll steal one of these, and then try to get a 4 power bandit to steal the other one. That's an option. Dandelion and try to play 4 with our second card, steal the other one with that second card as well is also an option. We can damage this Viper Witcher Alchemist and actually go Fercart into Royal Decree to play something, and that might be our biggest play technically, but might want to wait for that because I think we can probably wait and do better. So let's go Gascon here. Steal one of them, then we're looking for a 4, so we'll use the Strays. And I guess we'll move you and steal you. And it means we can't use the Thanedd Turncoat to deal damage to the Viper Witcher Alchemist, but we didn't want to, because that actually would have prevented us from pulling off that steal. The only reason we would have wanted to do that was if we went for Fercart. Okay, interesting little play there with their leader ability. Not really sure it's worth it. Okay, you know, a bit of a combo. Curious to see how this plays out for them. It was a big dice roll. But at 6, it's not going to steal anything, and we could steal it back with Rico. So, not too concerned about that. And, I mean, if we want to get any value out of Ciri, we're ideally looking for them to have a 5 power unit, which is going to take a little bit of planning, perhaps. But at this point, we might be looking at Dandelion stealing this 4, and then looking for whatever else we can steal with on the card that we draw into. I mean, it could be a Rico. Yeah, it might be Dandelion into Rico. If not, we'll see what we draw. Doesn't really help us that much. The Ducal Guard, it is the weakest of our soldiers. So we'll use Rico here. It's not the best of Ricos. We'd like to ideally save him for when they play an even more powerful unit. But we didn't have any other way of stealing on that turn. Unless we went really aggressive and went Royal Decree, but that felt like that was overkill. The Kingslayer is a 5, so we can steal that. And that is not a particularly strong unit that they banished. Not one we were planning to get out anyway. But that means now we can go Ciri. Damage you guys, and that will drop you down to 4, which means Ciri's a 4, you're a 4, we'll steal the Kingslayer. Not necessarily sure we are all that keen on doing that in case they are about to turn right around and use Duchess's Informants or something like that to create a copy of this, but then again, it is currently 48-0, so I think we will deal with that. Igni. Oh, well. Well. Alright, fair enough. Fair enough. You know? Well done. Well done. Okay, Fercart steals you, and then we can use Royal Decree to play something else, although then again, there's only one card for them, or on their side of the board for us to steal. So even after that very impressive Igni, we still have a humongous lead. And I mean, what is our plan for Roderick? Could be Bribery, could be Dudu. Don't really know what we're gonna get out of those. Ramon is not a great time because we want to have more units on the board to steal when we go that route. Guess we'll try. And we'll go for... Yes, Dudu. Oh, but... Well, okay. Great. Lovely. Love that. Love that. We just want them to have more units on the board at the end of the day. Okay, sure. At this point, it might be Fercart time. And with Royal Decree, Ramon into Ducal Guard. I mean, it gets a lot of units on the board. Ideally, we'd be stealing with all those units, but they have so few units that we can't really do that. So we're not getting as much value as we would ideally like to have. But it does mean that we are going to give spying to Geralt Igni, which could be interesting for us if they do happen to get a rogue big enough for that to be a factor, although I'm starting to doubt that being the case. So we're not stealing Roderick here. Might just be looking to maybe even Emissary? No, this is our only way of getting Ramon, isn't it? So we should use him. And then we'll go Ard Feainn Tortoise. In some ways, it's a little bit of a risk because if they do have a way to steal a 7, then we're giving them a way to get more points on the board. That's going to get destroyed because you don't have any Witchers because we stole Igni. So that's fine. And at this point, I mean, I suppose if they're going to steal a Tortoise, then we could steal it back this way. We'll throw down a Ducal Guard. At this point, there's no 2 we have to steal them. We have a humongous lead even after that Igni. So we're looking okay. We can steal that Ducal Guard with Artuad, and we can also create a copy of cards that we created a spying copy of or put spying on. We still have the Tortoise as well. We still have our leader ability, but none of that is necessary because even after all that stuff, we have a huge lead. So we'll just take the win from there. Alright, so going up against Scoia'tael here. And they'll go first. Alright, and let's take a look. So we have Ramon, which means we want to make sure that we have at least 1 soldier in our hand to go along with him, and we actually have 3 right now. So looking fine there. Precision Strike Scoia'tael is a bit of a counter to us. They tend to deliberately play cards lower than 4 power, which are significantly harder for us to steal, which means Nauzicaa Brigade might actually be particularly valuable to us for that reason, since it is at just 3 power. So I think we dump Ducal Guard. Dandelion gives us the ability to steal additional 4s at the very least. And we might even stick with this. You can make the case for swapping out Imperial Diplomacy or this Ard Feainn Tortoise. Yeah, I guess we'll swap you out. Okay, Dwarven Chariot is 3, which, as we were just saying, is a little bit hard to steal, as are those 2s. So I imagine that is their strategy here, is to go low enough that it is hard for us to steal their cards. But we can steal at least a little bit with Nauzicaa Brigade, if we were to, say, damage one of you guys and then steal the Dwarven Chariot. That's an option. It's not super exciting, but we could consider it. Also, Fercart is a 3, so that would also steal the Dwarven Chariot, and we could use that to play either Bribery or Royal Decree, neither of which is likely to steal one of you, so I think that's probably still not the route we want to go here. I think what we do is we go Ard Feainn Tortoise, and we can play it because we do still have another soldier, so we can still have something for Ramon to do. But at 7 power, it's not impossible, but it's somewhat unlikely for them to go after this. And we basically just want them to play more cards for us to have the option of stealing. So yeah, they're loading up on 3s. Which, now Fercart and or Nauzicaa Brigade are... They still work to steal one of them, but in case we have the chance of getting another one, that's a little more palatable. So maybe we do this. Fercart into, and Royal Decree is not likely to give us much of what we want unless we go for Duchess's Informant. Feels like overkill. Feels like we're stretching to get a 3-power unit on the board with that. I think maybe we try a Bribery and see if we get something there. And, oh, they have the new Triss Meteor Shower. It's very intriguing. Geralt's Professional. For what it's worth, they do have cards that are on 3 base power. And, we can steal the other one. So, why don't we destroy you and steal you? That's what we were looking for. So, yeah. Definitely a lot of low-power units. There is Triss. Although that is one of the original Trisses. Or at least not the one that just got added, right? So, I suppose it is Triss Merigold herself. So yes, that is the original Triss in that way. So, it's going to be a little hard to continue to pass these cards back and forth when they're on low power like this. We might be able to get a 3-power unit with Gascon. It's possible. We do still have Nauzicaa Brigade, and we can create an additional Nauzicaa Brigade through Ramon. So, can't rule that one out. But Ivar technically can do it as well. It feels a little weird having us reduce Ivar's power in order to steal a card, but it is theoretically possible. And it does also give them a 4-power unit, which becomes something that is stealable. So, crazy as it sounds, I think this might actually be the right play. And so what we'll do is we'll make Triss a 4. That way, Ivar becomes 3, and we steal this Dwarven Chariot, which has more long-term value than Triss does. The rare negative points Ivar that is actually beneficial. I mean, on net, it's actually not negative points, but you know what I mean. We're damaging Ivar. Set that up. Yennefer. Ooh, okay. Oh, and they're damaging themselves with their leader ability to make it harder for us to steal them. Oh, there I was saying giving them a 4-power unit would be useful. But they said, absolutely not, I will not allow it. Okay, now they have a 5. Is that any easier? It's possible to get a 5 with Gascon. It's not guaranteed by any means. But Ramon still looking for a 4, or we can steal 3s. Actually, hold on. If you are... We might try Gascon and see if we get a 5, try to steal you. If not, then the 3 damage on you does get you down to a 3. So you are technically stealable with Nauzicaa Brigade or Ramon into Nauzicaa Brigade. Let's do Ramon. Into you. Steal you. And then let's give you armor, because you do give them additional value if they are able to break through that armor. Okay, they also had Geralt Professional in hand. So we're tied at 20 apiece here. And it is still not impossible to steal, but difficult. Looking at the original Nauzicaa Brigade now as perhaps our best option to steal any of the 3s. And at this point, we'd probably just be looking to, I guess, damage you by 3 to remove you, and steal any of the other 3s that are on the board would be the way we go about doing that. I think that's the plan. And then, again, just give the armor because we can. And if they don't catch us here, then we'll pass, of course. Ooh, okay, Witcher Trio. Whole bunch of 3s, but... Oh, yeah, with the steal... Oh, it's just barely enough. For a second there. Thought they might not have pulled it off, but okay. So now it gets tough. Continues to get tough. Because it's a whole bunch of 3s, 1, 2. And it's difficult to pull off a steal here. If we were to Royal Decree, we could Braathens into Duchess's Informant, or just go straight into Duchess's Informant. We could say, forget about stealing, just go for Emissary. It feels weird. Rico for 3 power is not really what we're looking for. Nilfgaardian Knight? No. Doesn't really have any way to set that up. Dudu, also technically a possibility. I'm thinking... I mean, technically speaking, we don't need to steal here. Technically speaking, we could even just go with Ducal Guard, and it is enough to retake the lead and force them to play again. And this is probably the weakest card in our entire deck. So for us to be able to sneak that in and still have it work is not bad. We played a trap there. And the positioning does perhaps suggest that this is about to boost adjacent cards when we pass. But can't really count on that. It might be about to damage whatever unit we play next. Gascon does have 3 armor. So if it is a spring trap about to deal 5 damage to whatever unit we play, then you would survive it. You drop down to a 2, which means you would not steal this. It would have been a potential stealing target before they did that boost. Still a chance we could get... Oh, hold on. We already played our tortoise. No, we still have a tortoise in our deck. I think we have to. I think we have to at least try. It might trigger this trap. Yeah, it's not ideal. Definitely not ideal. But it is a steal. And it is enough for us to retake the lead here. So I think we'll have to take that exchange, and it puts the pressure on them now to find some kind of answer. There is the Tryst that we... No, we saw it, but we didn't create a copy of it. It is enough for them to steal it still. It's... Oh, wait, no, they do have a 6. They do have a 6. What are our prospects for stealing Vesemir here? With Gascon, we get enough damage to make that happen, to drop you down to a 4 where you're much more stealable. I mean, even without that, just getting 2 units on the board, regardless of whether we're stealing, is once again probably enough to force them into playing another card. We'd like to, of course, use Gascon and Dandelion and Terranova to steal 2 cards per turn, but given how they are countering us in that sense, that may be wishful thinking. What we're looking for here, damage enemy unit by 1 or more if it has armor. Still not ideal. They have a 2. They had a 2 before, but they don't anymore. I think we just take the... Oh, hold on. I mean, if we do this... Oh, no, they stole our... Or they destroyed our source of giving additional armor. I was going to say that would be a way to actually turn this into an engine, which would have been nice, but now we should have just gone for the additional damage on the Caravan Vanguard. But either way, it does still force them to play another card here. And it's Trained Hawk, which, yes, we do have a 3. So, once again, question of, can we make this work without actually stealing? Or do we settle for what we have done thus far? We've made round 1 go awfully long here, and maybe Imposter gives us the advantage we need in a short round. It is still technically a little bit stronger in a long round, or at least can be. And these guys are giving us functionally 2 cards, even if we're not stealing with 2 cards. Which would be big for a short round as well. I think we might pass here. Yes, with Dandelion Poet, we may be able to retake the lead, but without any steals, it just feels like this is not the value we're looking for out of Dandelion. Yes, it's going to be hard to get the maximum value, but I think we still wait it out. Okay, and we picked up some useful things here as well. Duchess's Informants can work even on those weak 3 power cards that are otherwise rather tricky to steal. Same with Rico. And Braathens himself is obviously a 4, which it seems like might be hard to get a steal with, but of course we can use him to create a Duchess's Informant, which means the potential to steal other 3 power units. So this is looking pretty solid for us. I mean, outside of, what, Dudu? I guess would be an option that we might want to have, but even that's not necessarily better than what we have in hand right now. So I think we stick with this. I mean, Imperial Diplomacy is maybe the biggest gamble we have here, but it is potentially at least another way to get a lower power card, which seems to be what we're going to want here anyway. So, not to mention we are going first, which means we're definitely not stealing on this turn. So we'd like to have a card that is hard to steal to lead off with, and that might mean we're going for something like Imperial Diplomacy here. Let's just look at their graveyard to see if they had a Nilfgaardian Knight in there, but it doesn't look like they do, because getting an 8 power unit, or even if they had an Ard Feainn Tortoise on their side of the board, or in their graveyard, then that could have also been kind of hard for them to reach. But I think we're looking at Imperial Diplomacy and just seeing what we get here. And, oh, this is going to damage itself by a lot, right? We have dwarves in our hand, I doubt it, but this is probably still our best option. Okay, and, oh, well, yeah, the damage does get that down to 3, so it comes within stealing range. But this is a really useful card for us to create copies of, because not only is it a 3-point body, because it has that 2 damage, it can do exactly what we saw them do there, which is reach for a 5 power card, damage it down to a 3 to set up the steal. I'm not sure we're going to see them have all that much in terms of 5-point cards, but it's a possibility. We could, of course, now break out something like the Trained Hawk and damage one of these guys and steal the other. That's an option, and perhaps an option that we might consider pursuing here. Yeah, I think we will. So we'll go melee row to damage you, and that means we'll guarantee that we steal you, because I think you're more valuable since you are Harmony units, so technically you are an engine. Although, I mean, it's not impossible for us to trigger it. Wagenberg will steal something. I mean, both of these are Harmony engines. Okay, with the armor, you're maybe a little bit harder to steal, although we can proceed to go Duchess's Informant again, directly, and, what would we prefer? We can get the damage from Trained Hawk, and so that doesn't break through your armor, which means we can't guarantee that we steal this Trained Hawk. We can damage the Trained Hawk and guarantee that we steal you, but I'm not sure that that's what we want to do. And obviously get rid of you. We can actually steal you with a special card anyway. Oh, we don't have any special cards, so okay. I think it's Duchess's Informant, and I think it's Trained Hawk. Melee row, damage you. That'll boost you up, because that was technically our first beast on the board, and you are a Harmony engine, so small boost there, which may make that harder for them to steal. Another Dwarven Chariot. We do still have Rico, who can steal a 3 if needed, and Braathens is another way to get a Duchess. Yeah, actually, this arguably should have done this first, because we get some more assimilate triggers if we had played him as our first source of creating additional units. Let's see, we do already have a beast on our side of the board, so we're not going to get the Harmony procs if we choose you. We actually would benefit most from this Dwarven Chariot, so we do not yet have a machine of the Scoia'tael variety. Oh, although, wait. Oh, well, I was silly and played it in the melee row where it gets boosted. I forgot that it does that when you played in the melee row. So that was kind of silly, when we could have stolen any of their 3s in the range row. That's a misplay. Make no mistake. We'd like to get Braathens back if possible. We also can use our leader ability in their melee row, and they have a lot of, 1, 2, 3, 4 statuses, so we can get a fairly high unit that way. But, do they have any 4s? They don't have any 4s at the moment. Rico can steal a 3 still, which would be any of you guys. Dandelion into Duchess's Informant would not be bad. Into Roderick, into Dudu, into, I mean, Nilfgaardian Knight's maybe not amazing, but why don't we play it simple now, try to get Braathens, because that would benefit us if we could, since he is an engine, but alas, we did not get that. Let's put the armor on the 5, because we've seen they do have some ways to damage 5s down to 3s and steal them. Okay, Tainted Ale for damage. Set up some steals. But of course, it doesn't steal directly. And so now, speaking of assimilate units, this would be one of them. So another reason why, I mean, usually you want to save your big multi-stealing cards for the end of the round, but assimilate, there's some reason to play it on the earlier side. So why don't we go Terranova here? It's not going to steal anything directly, but I don't remember what we created spies of, but we're about to find out. Dwarven Chariot this time, why don't we do it the right way? Like so, and steal the other Dwarven Chariot back. And we'll still give an armor even in the melee row, right? Yes, okay. So, we know they have damage. They're probably going to try to go after Terranova because he is an engine, so let's give the armor to him. And still, case can be made for using a leader ability on one of these guys, but, you know, if they continue to play units and get more statuses in a row, then Maybe we just wait and see what we get at the very end. Gimpy, we do have a lot of those dwarves. Oh, they're gonna go for Terranova, though. And then, leader ability to set this up. I see. They should get the death blow on you and then steal Terranova would be the right play. Yeah. Good move. 1 card to 1 card. Ours would normally have the potential to steal 2 things. We can steal Braathens back, though, because it is now up to a 4. So that's good. We'll definitely look to do that. We probably would like to create a copy of Terranova with our leader ability, because that is an assimilate engine. I'm not really sure we're going to get the chance to trigger assimilate here, but it's a 9-point unit, if nothing else. Now let's go Dandelion, steal Braathens. Dudu is what we wanted, so that's good. And then if we transform into a 3 of some variety, is probably what we're looking for, right? To steal one of them. Like so. And then just give armor to people, basically. Okay, so we deliberately saved some of our biggest cards from the end there. They'll heat wave our biggest unit, but it's not enough for them to catch us. They do have a little more damage, a little more armor as well, but that will not be enough to catch us. So we'll hold on for the win, even against a counter deck. So there's a look at the Nilfgaard deck designed for the new Irresistible Attraction seasonal event. If you liked the video, then make sure to hit the like and subscribe button and leave a comment down below. Let me know which other cards, archetypes, and factions you'd like us to experiment with next. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you next time.